See, we have a couple more people joining us. So welcome to our English, Creative Writing, and American Studies virtual panel. We're really happy to have you here tonight to represent some of our majors on campus and just give you a better look about what it's like to be a student at Western New England from some of our current students, some faculty members, and actually an alumni here tonight. So thank you guys so much for joining us. If you'd like to introduce yourself, thanks Hillary, welcome. If you'd like to introduce yourself in the group chat, you can just put your first name, your last name, what you're looking to study, and maybe your hometown so we can get to know you a little bit better. Throughout the panel, if you have any questions, you can ask them in that group chat. We'll make sure our panelists can answer them for you before we are done here this evening. So without further ado, I think I'm going to hand it over to you, Ted. So if you'd like to get us going, I'll turn off my video and here we go.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. I'm Ted West. I'm the chair of the English department. And let me see if look at that, I did it. That's my slide, that's me, I'm teaching right there. I've been at Western New England for, 13, 14 years now, it seems like. I think that's right. And I teach mostly classes in American literature and writing and occasionally about video games and other things like that. And I'm very happy to have you. It's sort of strange to do this online. We usually would have done this in person, but that's okay. So yes, I'll pass on to our next faculty member, and I think we're just going to kind of go through and introduce the panel, and then we have some questions that we'll kind of talk about, just to hopefully give you an idea about some things in the department, and then we'll look for questions from you as well. So let me see if there we go, Christy.
Hi guys, my name is Christy Crutchfield. And so I teach creative writing classes. I'm a fiction writer myself. You'll also probably catch me in a freshman composition class and literature classes as well. And I've been at the university, how long have I been at the university? Maybe 7 years, I think, as a little baby adjunct. Right. But yeah, so yeah, and I love it here, and I love our panelists as well. So turn it over to them.
All right, let's see. Oops, yes. Okay, so who's first? I can't remember. Right, Mia.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Mia Coriglia. I am now officially a senior, no longer a junior. I am from Worcester, Massachusetts. I am a double major in creative writing and public relations. As you can see from my slide, I'm involved in a lot here on campus. In the English department, though, I work in the Writing Center, which is a really fun place with student tutors where you can come with any paper that you want. For industry experience, I was a writing intern for the Lioness magazine, which is a women in business magazine, and I was an intern at the WNE office for marketing and external affairs.
All right. Emily.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily. I'm a senior at Western New England. Technically, I'm graduated now because we've finished classes.
That's right.
I'm from Holden, Mass, and I was an English literature major. So that was a really interesting major to have across the 4 years, just because I got to experience a wide range of English classes. So not only creative writing, but also the more in-depth literature classes such as Shakespeare, American literature, British literature, things like that. I'm also involved in a lot on campus. I work with Mia in the Writing Center as well as a tutor. And I was also part of various different honor societies, including the English Honor Society. I was the treasurer of that one. And then I worked in a few different offices on campus, such as the first year office, which is exclusively for first year students at the university. So I worked there all 4 years. I love that office. That office has everything you could possibly need as a first year student, so that's a really great resource. Industry experience, I did a couple different things throughout my 4 years. I was the writing intern for the Office of Alumni Relations on campus. I was the social media and communications intern for a nonprofit organization right in Springfield, and I actually did that for class credit, so that was really, really awesome. And now I'm entering my full-time position as a marketing lead in Connecticut at Corbin Advisors. So I'm really excited you guys are here, and I hope you enjoy this.
Excellent. And now our recent alum, Gina.
Hi,
I'm Gina. I graduated WNE in 2018, so it's been 2 years. I'm originally from Wethersfield, Connecticut, and I majored in creative writing and film studies during my time at Western New England. I just graduated with my master's from Emerson College in publishing and writing, so I didn't move directly into the workforce, but kind of still doing school. So, but during my time at Western New England, I was involved in everything literature and publishing and writing. So I was working with the school newspaper for a while. I was in the writing center like me and Emily. I also was a first year seminar assistant, and I worked with the advancement division as a writing intern, among other internships as well in marketing and communications. So I'd be happy to talk a little bit more about that if you're interested, as well as what I've been doing in Boston. And I am really excited to have you guys here too.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. We will hope to get Christy back. Looks like she's disappeared into the internet. But
I can hear you, but my video is not available.
Well, that's good. All right. Well,
Just
you're
have my
there.
voice.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what we can do. So we're gonna now run a series of questions by our panelists here, just to give them some things to talk about related to their time at Western New England. And the first one, which makes sense for those of you who are joining and thinking about this very question, if any of you want to talk a little bit about how you came to Western New England and what it was about English or creative writing that drew you in.
I can go first. So I chose Western New England because I liked the small atmosphere, and it really just felt like home the moment that I stepped on campus. It was really just that feeling. And my first major coming into school was secondary education English, and then I switched about 3 more times to a bunch of different majors, and it was a mess. But I landed on creative writing, which I loved. I loved being able to just be myself, write what I wanted, basically just be this creative human being. And then I landed on public relations because I love people, and I love talking to people, and I love working with people. And that was actually recommended to me by my academic advisor who works in the English department, and he just pushed me to broaden my horizon. And that's how I ended up as the double major that I am.
Yeah, so I guess I'll kind of go off of that. Kind of going off of what Mia said, I also came in as a secondary ed English major and decided to make the switch, I think halfway through my sophomore year. So major-wise, Western New England is a great community because they make it so easy for you to switch and find what you're looking to actually do and have a passion for. We have such a wide range of majors and minors that you can basically do whatever you want. So I think that's a really important thing when you're looking at different schools. And just also, as Mia said, Western New England has such a great feel to its campus and community. Everyone there is so helpful and willing to support you through whatever might be going on, especially a change in major if that's something you end up doing during your time there. But yeah, I would say just the community, and then also the wide range of majors and activities that Western New England was able to offer is what drew me into the school.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, I chose Western New England primarily because of the English department. I remember the first time I took a tour there, and it was a beautiful sunny day, and we walked along the grass. And it's such a huge campus, and it's beautiful, and they have a really wide range of resources and amenities that really appealed to me during the time. And it actually, I really decided to go and take the plunge when I was an accepted student, and I went to one of these panels, and it was in person, obviously. But I met with the chair of the English department at the time, and I spoke with alumni and current students. And kind of like the situation right now, I just really fell in love with it, and it kind of made me feel like I was right at home. So that was one of the biggest draws, and I don't regret it in the slightest.
Wonderful. I'll say just since you mentioned the idea of the majors, we do have the 3 different majors, but they are designed specifically. We've actually even tried to make it even more flexible. They're very much designed so that you can move between them. There are some kind of core classes that they're shared, and even if you make a change and you have to kind of move some things around, that's certainly not only allowed but encouraged. Yes, I second all of the idea of family. All right, let me see. There we go. Got it. Great. We know from the slides that there's a long answer to these questions as far as the clubs and organizations. But maybe that second part, how you balanced it, and maybe kind of what you got out of adding so much to your daily routine in addition to classes that you kind of value about your time at Western New England.
I can go first again. So if you ever talk to Dean Jarzabski, the Dean of First Year Students, she likes to call me a hyper planner. I like to have everything planned out, color-coded, organized, checklist, everything. So that's how I balance everything, is just because I'm so organized, and I have time slots for homework, time slots for sleeping, for fun, for eating. I literally plan out my whole life. You don't have to do that, but it is good to be organized so that you can get everything done, and you can get everything done efficiently as well. But you always need to have some time for yourself, some time to have fun. So don't forget to have that in there, even if you have a lot on your plate.
I can add to that. So I think another large thing that is so unique about Western New England is just because I was an English literature major doesn't necessarily mean I'm not being interactive with other people within the English department. So for example, me and Mia have different majors, but we were in a lot of the same classes with one another. So not only are you meeting people within your own major, but you're also interacting with students across the range of majors, which I think is super helpful when you're trying to stay on top of your classes while balancing clubs and organizations and work, because you have other people you can lean on for help if you need it. As a first year student on campus, you're also paired with a first year advisor to kind of help you through your first few months, especially when you're transitioning. They say the first 6 weeks are the hardest part of the transition from high school to college, and your peer advisor is directly set up with certain tasks they need to do with you in the first 6 weeks to make sure you're right on track. Mia is was actually a peer advisor, so she can probably speak more to that, but I think the best way I was able to do it was with all of the resources on campus, leaning on friends that I made in all of my different classes, and also having that peer advisor.
Yeah, so kind of going off of that, I agree with Mia. Definitely organization was a really big thing for me. I found myself overwhelmed, like at certain points, which is completely normal because of how much I had taken on, because of how much I had chosen to do. And I also found that it was difficult for me a lot of times to really ask for help, for a number of reasons. But it's really important to learn how to advocate for yourself and to be organized, but also to know when you need to take a step back and, have some fun, or, take a break from homework and go back later. So for me, time management is not just about prioritizing different things, obligations and jobs and homework that you have, and also like managing social time. So it's really kind of about keeping everything in perspective and knowing that you are what is most important. And kind of going off what Emily said, Western New England makes it really, really easy to not get lost, as a first year student. You have so many people there that are looking to help you and help advocate for you. And for me, I learned a lot about self-advocacy, and I was really close with my peer advisor at the time and a lot of mentors in the Writing Center before they graduated. So it was really for me about reaching out to them and telling them when I needed help, but also it was a huge part of Western New England just offering that to me, and I was always available. They were always giving it to me, those resources and that help. So that is major, major.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Let's see, this is a mystery to me. Oh yeah, right, favorite course. What was your favorite course within or outside your major? Obviously, some of my courses would be real high on the list. You don't have to say those just because I'm here. But other than those, what have been some of your favorite courses in and outside of the major that you think about as kind of capturing what might be lying ahead for our prospective students.
We'll just keep the same rotation going, I guess, to answer questions, so I'll go. I actually haven't taken a class with Ted yet. I helped FSA for Ted, and I was his teaching assistant, but that was awesome. But I will be taking a class with him soon, so my favorite class might change. Currently, my favorite class has been my creative writing workshop class with Dan Bavacqua. He and I have become very close. He is one of my close professors that I have. I actually have his book right in front of me that he autographed for me, which is awesome. But that class was so awesome because I was able to just write. Dan would give us a writing assignment. We'd say, okay, how many pages? He goes, as many as you want. On what topic? Whatever you want it to be. I had the freedom to be the writer that I could be, and that was just so helpful to me because I was able to break out of my comfort zone and I wasn't stuck. I was just able to do what I wanted. And outside of my creative writing major was my COM 100 class, which actually landed me in my public relations double major. But my favorite COM class was my event planning class. I planned a 2-day field hockey tournament all by myself. I had to do every part of the planning aspect, and that was just something really cool that I never expected to do in college.
So my favorite course within the major, like Mia, was also a workshop class. They offer a variety of different workshops that you're able to take. So there's a poetry workshop class, there's a nonfiction workshop class, and also a fiction workshop class, which was probably my favorite class across my 4 years. And I actually had that one with Christy, who you can't see anymore, but I think she's still here.
I'm here, yay!
And the workshop class, as Mia said, is just really unique because it's a very interactive environment with all of the other students in the class. You get to write basically about whatever you want. It's really creative, and you get to explore yourself and your writing, and it really just kind of builds you as a person in an educational setting, which is a really cool thing. Outside of my major, I took a lot of marketing and communications classes. So I think my favorite one outside of my major was a recent one I took actually in this very last semester called Business Communications. That was just such an interactive educational class about interacting in the business world and also just with people in general. It was just so informative, and I loved the professor, Professor Brenda Garten. She's amazing. If you ever have a chance to take a class with her, Mia knows her as well. But yeah, that was my favorite one outside my major.
Okay, my turn. So my favorite course in my major was probably Women in Literature with Stephanie Wardrop. It was less like creative writing and more of like an essay class, but we got to read Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar, which is my favorite book of all time, and I really, really enjoyed that class. I learned all about not only female writers of like the past 2 centuries, but female characters, which is really, really interesting and important to me. In my favorite class outside of my major, well, kind of outside of my major, it was The Haunted Screen, which is a film class. Shout out Kelly Klingon-Smith because she's one of my favorite professors, and that class was what got me started on the path to becoming a film minor because I love horror movies. I can't get enough of them, and I loved like analyzing movies and analyzing how literature works with movies. So that was really fun. Yeah.
Kelly is downstairs baking, so I'll tell her after we get off.
Please tell her I said that.
I will. I saw a question come in from one of the attendees, from Hillary, asking if you get to take English courses right away. In the first semester, you will take a course called LA 100s and an introductory course that will be with the other incoming English majors and will be taught by an English professor. That's the course actually that Mia and I worked on together. And then in the in the spring semester of the first year, we've been sort of rotating in different classes to try to make sure that there is a course available. In recent years, we've added a section of an introductory creative writing course that is set aside just for English majors. This year, we tried something a little different, just kind of an introduction to the major course that Dan Bavacqua taught, and we we added that course, and we've been working on sort of scheduling those courses precisely for, I imagine, Hillary, the reason that you asked that question, which is that we want to make sure that students are getting a chance to get integrated into the major and meet those other people in the department, meet faculty members, and all this kind of things right away, just so that we can kind of jumpstart that experience of getting to know you and to let you get to know the department. And then by sophomore year, it just depends on kind of what's being offered and which direction you're taking. But at that point you'll start to integrate right into English courses. And we always do, if if there's a course that's filled up, but it's something that you're really interested in or you need for some reason, there are no questions asked that we always have room for another English major in one of our classes. So there's at least an answer to that. I hope that answered your question, Hillary. Okay, we know, again, that the answer to the first question is yes. So once again, the second question is the key. If you could talk a little bit about, what you did or what you learned from some of the internships that you did. And Emily mentioned this, and it is part of our majors that you will do an internship that will get you course credit, and some people do plenty of others in addition, but that is an integrated part of the major. So
I'll start. So my internship was with an online women in business magazine, and that was so interesting because I thought I was just going to be looking up people and then writing stories on them, but that was not true at all. I actually got to interview these women. Most of them were just over the phone. I never did any face-to-face ones because I was a college student and they were all over the country. And then I wrote these articles. My editor looked over them. We met, we fixed everything. And then I was published at 20 years old, which is pretty crazy. I have a whole page on their website with all of my articles published. And that was just amazing. Also, on top of that was one of the women that I wrote about. She posted my article on her Instagram page and gave me a shout out and tagged me in everything. And we actually talk to this day. She is an amazing woman. We talk about school, work, personal stuff, and having that relationship with someone that I've actually never even met is pretty crazy. And everyone I spoke to was amazing, but I kept the connection with this one woman, and I just couldn't believe that ever happened. It was amazing.
So I had a couple different internships when I was at Western England. I was a social media and marketing intern for a nonprofit organization in Springfield, and I was able to obtain that internship through my faculty advisor, who was Kelly Klingensmith. Gina mentioned her earlier. She's the best. But you're really, it kind of depends on how you are as a person and what your goals are for yourself, but you can get as close to your faculty advisor as you want. So I was very close with mine. I was lucky I had a great relationship with her, and she helped me pretty much all the way through. She researched different internship opportunities for me and was able to find that one. And it was very fruitful. I learned a lot from it. It kind of actually geared me towards what I wanted to do after I graduated. So having an internship and finding one is super easy if you're close with your faculty advisor and you make good connections across campus.
Yeah, definitely going off of that, I would add that the English department is really tight-knit. There's not a whole lot of English majors on campus, which is fine, but it just means that everyone knows each other pretty well, and the faculty advisors get to know you really well as well, especially during your first year. And my advisor was instrumental in helping me pick what internships I wanted and kind of like what would suit me best, because they have connections with a lot of different internships that are available on campus, but it's, for me at least, it was kind of deciding which one would kind of like allow me to explore my interests the most. So I was an editorial intern for a literary agency in East Longmeadow for my first internship as a sophomore. And then I was a marketing and communications intern with Big Brothers Big Sisters in Springfield, which was really interesting because I was a tutor at Western New England, and I'm an academic success consultant right now. So I really love mentoring and coaching. and that gave me the chance to speak with a lot of bigs and littles on their experience and kind of what it means to foster a meaningful relationship. And I got to go into their office every day, which is really cool. I got to see a lot of people behind the marketing team. And I'd been really interested in marketing, but wasn't really sure where it was going to take me. So I'm glad I had that chance with the internship to kind of explore a different facet of communications, which was really cool. And at the end, after I graduated, the summer after I graduated, actually, I was an advancement writing intern with the advancement division, which basically handles all alumni stuff. And kind of like Mia, I was able to publish something in the Western New England University Alumni Magazine, which is really cool. It was about Golden Bear Weekend, the big homecoming weekend in 2018, the fall of 2018. And it was really, really cool seeing my name, my byline. So I was really grateful that I had the chance to do that, and also that my advisor had pointed me in that direction, especially since after I graduated, I didn't really want to leave just yet.
See a question from another one of our guests, John. John asks, how you find out who your advisor is? The way that we typically do it is that I mentioned that an introductory class in your first semester, LA 100, that'll be taught by an English professor. What we typically do is, for that group of incoming students at the beginning of your career, is that we set that person up as your advisor, just in the idea that you're seeing them 2 or 3 times a week, and so you're kind of building that relationship. You have a regular occasion to work with them, and it just kind of works well to have kind of piggyback the advisor relationship on top of that. But in some cases, that's how it begins, and you know, that's the way it stays for all 4 years. But it also happens sometimes that, you know, as you get into the major and take some courses with other professors, you might find that you make a connection with someone else, and you'd like them either, you know, because of the area they're in, or again, just a personal relationship, that you'd like the chance to work with them. And so we have people kind of, you know, as they move along, decide to shift their advisors so that they've got that relationship, and that works well too. I think, you know, most people in the department do some advising. It just kind of comes and goes depending on, say, who rotates through that course, and who students want to work with. So, hope that answered your question. So yes, if we'd done this a few weeks ago, we only would have had one alumnus, but now we have 2 we can draw on here. Alumni, can you talk about your transition from Western New England to the workforce?
Well, Gina's gonna have a better answer than I do, because technically I'm not graduated yet, but I've only been out for a little while. The transition was actually super easy for me because I started working at my full-time job while I was still in school at Western New England. But in terms of like the personal and professional transition, it was made super easy just because of all of the connections I made on campus, and I just felt really prepared to enter the workforce. Yeah, just because of all of the connections I had made and everything I'd been involved with, all of the jobs that I had, all the internships I had, the connections I had made with my professors and my advisor, all just kind of blended together and you know, made me ready for the real world. Hopefully, we'll see. I'm not there yet, but yeah.
Yeah, so my transition in my path is a little bit different because I didn't go right into the workforce after I graduated. I went right to graduate school. I moved from Springfield to Boston and started at Emerson in the publishing and writing program. And there, the workforce kind of mostly consists of full-time school and full-time work, essentially, but it's full-time internships, basically, and they're long-term. And so for me, having the experience I did at Western New England and all the organizations I worked with, the transition was probably one of the easiest I've had to experience. it was completely manageable. Really, the only difference that I noticed was in the programs themselves, because grad programs are much more competitive, I found, and the stakes are a lot higher. But I was really lucky to have still, kind of like Emily said, I had all the connections I made from Western New England, and I also had confidence. You know, I was a new grad, and I was really excited to take on this new path, new journey, get my master's. And at first I kind of thought that I wasn't really cut out for it, but I was like, you know what? I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. I have experience, and I'm ready to put myself out there and kind of apply for all these internships. And I'm really lucky that I did that, because I'm infinitely like more knowledgeable than if I had never applied in the first place. You know, I ended up getting an internship and then a job with Harvard as an editorial assistant, which is really, really cool. And you know what? I got that basically right after I graduated and moved to Boston. And my learning at Emerson kind of coincided with what I learned there. And I found that I was like, you know what? Western New England completely equipped me to do this. And it was really, really great just knowing that, like, I had it within me based off what I had already learned, and then I was going to continue learning. So I'm still, you know, transitioning into the full workforce, which is a little bit different now, as everyone knows, because of the coronavirus. So I still have a lot to learn, I'm sure, but I cannot thank Western New England enough, because if I had not gone to this school and graduated with this major, I have no idea where I would have been. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. And with you, Emily, too. Really exciting. Congrats.
Yeah.
I mean, just to say, I mean, it's great to hear that from both of you. I mean, it's something, you know, we as a department and the faculty, you know, think and talk and plan about a lot. I mean, you know, I think that, you know, maybe a kind of a stereotype of an English department or an English major is that it's, you know, kind of, I don't know, not concerned with such practical kinds of questions, but we absolutely are. I mean, I think, you know, we think about the things, the skills, and the kinds of things you learn through your time as an English major as things that are immensely valuable to all kinds of work. And so, you know, it's kind of our job to deliver that and just to kind of make sure that last step is taken so that you can kind of put those things together. You know, several members of the faculty have had other jobs. I mean, I've worked a couple different phases of my life outside of academics. I worked for a computer software company. I worked for a corporate consulting company, essentially. And, you know, both of those places, I didn't have any special background, obviously, in those fields, but, you know, I got in and I could read, I could write, I could think, I could kind of, you know, I could be useful in a lot of different ways, and things sort of worked out. You know, it happened, I decided I wanted to come back, but, you know, I think the English major, there's real potential for that to deliver those kinds of skills, and as we think and talk a lot about how to make sure that happens. Another question from one of our guests, this one from Annika. I can answer the first part of it, and maybe some of you could add some thoughts about the other part. Annika asked, how do you get a job in the Writing Center or somewhere on campus? As far as the Writing Center goes, that is a job that you apply for, and the application process happens, it does happen within the English department, and the majority of our tutors are English majors, although we have some tutors who come from outside of the English major. You apply in part based on a kind of record that you've developed of writing in our courses. You'll get a faculty member to support you, and there's an interview. And then what follows from that, if you're accepted the job, is actually a full semester course that is designed to train you for being a writing tutor. And I think it has the added benefit of just being kind of an intensive course, thinking about writing and editing and language in various ways. But that's how we make sure that the people who work in the Writing Center are really ready to be professional assistants and coaches, as Gina described them, to the students who come in and are looking for writing help. So that's that process. I don't know if any of the other of you want to just say a little bit about how you came to track down the jobs that you had on campus.
Yeah, I can add to it. Also about the Writing Center, our boss is Louise. She's the most amazing person. I call her mom. I literally love her. And having that class with her too is so fun because you form that relationship with her as well. So typically how you get jobs on campus is just in the first few weeks, every office kind of just has like applications out or like we need workers, and you just kind of go and you talk to the people or you pick up the application and then you submit it. I feel like I could be making this up, but there's also a job fair, right? Yes, okay. I thought I was making it up for a second. There's also a job fair where you can go and all of the jobs on campus there are represented. You can talk to people, you can pick up applications, and then you apply through there. There is also a human resource office, and you can email Myra Quick about it, and she has a whole list of jobs on campus. And they're very different, the jobs, but all are paid and they're very fun.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. There is a job fair just about every single semester on campus, so it's kind of hard not to get a job, honestly. I got a job within my first semester at school through the job fair, so that's a really, really great resource if you're looking for either a work study job or just a job in general. So.
Yeah, I won't say too much here because me and Emily kind of just said what I was going to say. I got my first job at the job fair as well. And it actually lasted until the end of my sophomore year, which is great. So I'm really grateful for that. But like once you kind of get the groove of everything, like your first year, and you start getting to know people and joining things and kind of like putting yourself out there, you'll find that you don't necessarily have to look as hard for open positions anymore, and that you will be like more readily available to apply to them. So it seems kind of scary, at least it did to me. Like the first couple months I was there, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to find a job, but Western New England makes it really easy for you to find stuff and apply, and then it just gets the ball rolling from there.
Okay, great. I'll warn everybody that most of the time I was muted, our dog was barking. He's stopped now, but I can't guarantee. You may hear from Kip at some point. What was your favorite part about being a student at Western New England?
I can go because I had to think of this question yesterday on my other panel, so I'm prepared. Because this is a very hard question because there's just so many things that I love about Western New England. But my favorite part would definitely be the groups of people that I met. I know that people have always talked about like you should room with your major or not room with your major. I've never roomed with someone that is from my major. I have a health sciences roommate and I know her friends and she knows my friends. And then I have my writing center and English friends. And then I have my peer advising friends. So I have so many different groups of people that I can go to for basically anything. They're always there to support me. And I think that's something that not a lot of schools have, which is why it's so special at Western New England, is that you may have all of these different groups from different places, but they'll always be there to support you. I'm sorry about my dog barking. You have so much support on this campus, and you can meet so many different types of people through jobs, through classes, through your major, and I think that Western New England is just so special in that way.
Kind of similar to that, I think my absolute favorite part was just the resources that are available to you. So not only the friends that you make, but throughout all of my 4 years, if there were ever a time where I was scared I was going to fail a class, or I didn't know what food was good to eat in the dining hall, or just anything you could possibly think of, all of the little or big problems that you're going to face through your first, second, third, and even fourth year, there's always an office to go to. There's always a person to go to. There's always someone to ask who knows the answer, or there's someone to ask that knows the person who knows the answer. So I think that's the benefit of being on a smaller campus, is everyone knows the right person. And if it's not you, it's someone that you know and that they know. So I think that was my favorite part. I never found myself feeling lost to the point where I never thought I was going to find the solution or I was going to fail the class. So yeah, I think the resources and the small knit community were my favorite part.
Yeah, definitely going off of that, probably single-handedly my favorite part of being a graduate from Western New England was the fact that I made such close friends with people in the English department, and I fostered a lot of really important and meaningful connections with the advisors, the professors, the faculty, and the students that I worked with. When I first started as a freshman, I was so shy. I didn't know how to make friends. I didn't want to make friends really. I didn't want to stay in my room all day. And by the end of my time there, I just completely come out of my shell. I met so many great friends that I still talk to this day. I fostered some really great connections with my professors and now like my mentors. And I could not have done that without being in the English department and meeting all the people there. Like being a writing center tutor, I met so many new friends, and I met, people that I worked with and tutored. I became friends with them, some of them, and just kind of all of that blurred together, and just was one of the most meaningful parts of my experience there. And it is something I'm probably never going to forget. That was the most important part of my undergrad experience.
I don't know if I'm invited to answer this question, but I'm gonna do it anyway. At least my version of it. The best part, and I think if you ask every faculty member, and at least in our department, this question, it's working with the students. I mean, that's the whole reason we do what we do. I think during this semester where we've been away for the last month, I think you asked the question like to the faculty, like, what's the hardest part about doing everything online and all that. It's just not getting to actually see all of you guys. I mean, that's the good part. That's the part that makes it a good job. As I say, when we make decisions as a department, we're talking about what courses we're going to offer, or how we're going to design the major, or what we're doing. I mean, the goal behind all the things that we're doing is trying to make things work as well as we can for the students. And it is such a pleasure to work with the other faculty and to get to know all you guys and all that. That it really it's a great place. It's a great place to be for us too. So okay, I think we have one more question. I think I'm even actually officially allowed to answer the last one, but I'll let you guys go first. What is your advice for future Golden Bears? We have some online, and some people who we hope will be some. So
I would have to say, I say this to every first year student that I meet, and they probably all hate me for it because I say it a lot, but my mom told me this coming into school, and it made me some of my closest friends. So my advice is that in every single class that you have, get at least one person's phone number so you can call them, text them, talk to them about assignments or any questions that you have. And this forms a relationship with them as well. I met one of my best friends from doing this, so I can tell you that it works. But it also helps you academically. So I think it's a really good way to meet people and succeed in classes.
That's great advice, Mia. I was told that as well. I think my biggest piece of advice for future Golden Bears is to get involved early. Don't be afraid to get involved. It will pay off probably within the first semester that you're there. If you find a club to join, find an organization, if you find a job, get involved early because it pays off and it makes your experience that much better.
Yeah, definitely going off of that. The only regret I have about my experience is that I didn't put myself out there sooner. I kind of didn't wait. I waited, and that was one thing I do wish I had changed, was that I went out of my comfort zone earlier and took more risks, because without risks, there's no reward. And another piece of advice would be to work hard, but really enjoy your time there. Like, it was truly some of the best years of my life, and I look back on my memories, freshman year in Hamden Hall, spending nights and hours in the writing center and working on the school newspaper, and I pride myself on being really self-motivated and ambitious. But I'm also really glad that I did take that time to hang out with my friends and meet new people and do new things and kind of push my limits in that way. by getting engaged and more on campus and involved in things that I never would have expected to have gotten involved in, because I met so many new people and learned so many things. And it sounds really cheesy and trivial, but it's true. Like, you need to put yourself out there and it will absolutely pay off, because you just need to treat every experience like a lesson. You know, everything you do, everything you want to learn, you know, it's an experience, and even the hard things, you can learn from them, and it's a lesson that you can take away from your experience. So you only get out what you put in, so don't waste it.
And I'll jump in even though I don't have a face. I'd like to jump in and just say, take advantage of this small school, this small community. It's a place where you're not going to get swallowed up. And it's a place where you can really, find your people. So it sounds like, you can hear all these different ways that our alumni and our current students have found their people. And you can also really build relationships with your professors. So dropping into office hours or, virtual office hours, if that's where we are. But, the beauty here is you can concentrate on your studies and on, your future for your job, but you can also get involved in so many things that have to do with your life outside of your job as well. And that's, I think you can take leadership positions in organizations and then take a class that has nothing to do with your major, and then take one that you've always wanted to take that has to do with your major. So take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, just listening to me and Emily and Gina describe their experiences, I think, one of the things that I think common to all of you, and the reason that all of you, are getting, have gotten so much out of your time with us is to really be aware of how much the school in general, but I'm thinking specifically about the professors and professors in the department, how much we are ready to do for you, and that I think, again, the students who really do well and get the most out of their time kind of ask a lot of us, but that's why we're here. That's what we want. I mean, if I have office hours, I'm just kind of sitting around and nobody comes by, then what's the point? It's not like I'm like, hooray, I don't have to do anything. I mean, it's just like, we're waiting for you to sort of give us a sense of what you need, and we certainly try to provide opportunities, and and again, all you've described ways that suggestions about internships or classes and things like that you might be interested in. But as I say, I think that the students who really do well come to us, and whether it's practical things like recommendations and help with internships and help with classes and things like that. Maybe that's how it starts, but then it goes beyond that to the point where you know that you're really working with someone who's wants to help you in kind of every way they can, and that's as I say, that's not work for us. That's really what's gratifying about the job, and we're really here to do that for everybody.
We'll even lend you books, or at least
Sure.
I will.
All right, I think that takes us to the end. I don't see any new questions that came out of the chat, so I think that takes us up to this part of it. And yes, looks like Jen's ready to hop back in and guide us to the next phase.
Yeah, thank you. Before we just get to the end, I just wanted to ask, I think I know the answer to this question, but if you guys want to answer it maybe from your own experiences, but just about maybe minors and how that works with your majors, or maybe some particular minors that you see are pretty common for English majors, or maybe minors outside of the college, whatever you guys see, and maybe how you go about getting those minors.
So I can talk first, so I'm a double major, which is a little more up there, but I have a lot of friends that actually minor, or you can actually double minor. My friend that graduated last year, she double minored, and I forget what the minors were, but she was able to do it seamlessly. She had no problems. I saw that, John, you asked the question about a criminal justice minor. My good friend is actually a creative writing major with a criminal justice minor, and she loves it. She has so much fun with it. She was thinking about doing it as her double major, but she decided not to. And the way you go about that is you talk with your academic advisor first, see what their advice is and how they would handle it. You can go talk to the other professors. If it's specifically CJ, you can go talk to CJ professors first to kind of get a feel for them, and then you go to the College of Arts and Sciences, you fill out a form, and then you are all set. You are officially a minor or a double major.
Cool. Thank you so much. So just to wrap up here, I just first want to thank all of you so much for taking some time out of your days during this crazy situation we're all in, and really thank you for all joining us today, Mia, Gina, Emily, and then also Ted and Christy. Thank you all so much. For some of our visitors here who are still looking to commit and make their decision, if you are ready to, that's awesome. You can do so through your applicant status page. If you guys are looking to submit your deposit now, a lot of our students are enjoying some of our benefits already, so you're going to get early access to your email and also Kodiak, which is our online platform for orientation throughout the summer and also for online classes. You also just have a lot of opportunities to make connections with your incoming classmates. You can start to fill out your housing application, connect with your orientation group leaders like Mia, who is one of them, and just really meet some new people. I also definitely encourage you all to join the Class of 2024 Facebook group. That will be your group throughout your time at Western New England. So just a great place to meet people and then form some relationships from there. So if anyone's looking to commit, that is how you do it. You can also definitely contact us either in the admissions office, or if you have any more specific questions about some of these majors, please reach out to Ted and Christy. I'm sure they would love to speak to you. If any of you would like some more maybe one-on-one with some of the current students or alumni, you can definitely reach out to me and I can get you their contact information if you're interested as well. One last thing, we do raffle off a t-shirt at these events, so I want to congratulate Corinne. Congratulations, we are going to send you a t-shirt. Thank you so much for joining us. But other than that, that's all I have. Thank you all so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.